Not gonna lie, I'm actually looking forward to the Angels of Zariman simply because we get to visit the ship. Even though it kind of changes as to how its shape looks and everything else depending on how things progress, simply because it's a work in progress, it's not out yet. Sadly though, they did mention the three mission types. They've only shown two. They didn't go into the one I think everyone wanted to see, that was kind of the Void Armageddon. We don't get to find out anything about that till the update comes out. What we do get to see is obviously going to the ship and landing at the ship, but sadly there was no new anything inside of the... I forgot what it's called now. Chrysalis. I was going to pronounce that completely wrong. I had the name right, but everything in here is pretty much exactly the same as it has been when they showed it last month, and that's because, as they said, they have removed everything of importance to kind of hide spoilers from this, down to transmissions during the gameplay. Completely removed it, so there's no major spoilers. Apart from, that. But again, that's not a spoiler, that's just a Cephalon. There are many of them in the game. But it was nice to go back, see the Chrysalis and what could possibly be here, where everybody is going to be. This is obviously going to be a social hub for the new area, showing one new mission type, the Void Cascade, and the kind of way into these missions from the actual Chrysalis, the new social hub. You take a elevator down and that would basically starts the mission, which doesn't look all too overly complicated. You do have a certain area you can't go into, have to go into your operator to go into to activate them. I'm not going into the new mission types or anything else in these because no. But there is the whole focus change and everything else, and they spent probably a good 30 to 40 minutes going through everything in the focus system that is going to change, because they are changing a lot of it. All they basically managed to do while going on about the focus system for so long was basically say all of the changes that are coming in the Focus 3.0 rework, or whatever it's actually being called, you will be refunded if you have obtained any pool. You will gain some Radiant Shards, Eidolon Radiant Shards, in case you don't get what the Radiant Shard is I'm referring to. If you have put those in there, all of your focus, experience, affinity, everything will be refunded, because it is going to reset everybody's focus tree. And it's going to work slightly better than it did before. I will admit, looking at it, there was a few worries that I had, but most of the systems that everybody uses on the focus tree is going to stay not exactly the same, but is going to be slightly better than it was before. Some, not so much, but the big ones that everyone was worried about, well, they're all basically, it's not a one-part system anymore, there's two parts, and if you activate the second part after it, it basically makes the part that everybody loves better. Which is, to quote Digital Extreme themselves, it's more of a buff than a nerf. They've also taken away a lot of weirdness in the focus system when you jump to your operator, where you have to dash to activate things, and they are basically putting it like Warframe abilities, and it's going to be under options to use them. Ability keys 1 through 4 on console. Yeah, cannot remember how you activate abilities on console. I think that would be, it depends what platform you're playing on. The button is in the same place, but it's either RB or R1, or I cannot remember what it is on the Switch. And it's going to be there, which means no more crouch dashing to try and activate these abilities. You're going to be able to use them like Warframe abilities, which is going to make the focus system much more playable, as well as the Void Dash. And yep, that's about as much as I'm going into the focus system. We will cover that more when it's out, because hopefully when they recover or reset everybody and give everybody the focus they've already earned back to restart their trees, we'll be able to take a look at it fairly quickly. The little guy who was walking around or flying around fixing the plants on the Zariman has been named. It's called Verdi, which is an acronym for I don't care enough to remember what it was. I have it written down, but I'm just not going to repeat it. It's just Verdi. And even though Gyre looks like she is going to be an amazing looking kind of electrical based frame with the abilities, Arcsphere, the first ability, is basically going to, I need to pause that, is going to throw an electric charge out. Yeah, Vauban much? Oh wait, no, Coil Horizon will also then suck the enemies in, like Vauban. Yeah, but they visually work differently and look differently. They kind of, to me, come across as kind of similar, but at the same not. More importantly, the third ability, Cathode Grace, yeah, gain a buff burst of increased crit chance and energy regen with each kill. With each kill extending duration of this ability. But it is sadly on a cooldown, which means you can only cast it once every 60 seconds, or after it ends, you can't cast it again for 60 seconds. This I'm looking forward to quite a lot because, there's a lot of missions where you can have a lot of enemies coming after you. With the fourth ability, it's Gyre's, well, basically the skirt comes up, there's an electric field that goes around, and any enemies that get hit with a crit hit, this is a very crit heavy frame, in case you haven't realised that one yet, basically causes a chain reaction with other enemies. Nearby enemies. Which does actually look amazing when cast. Out of all of the abilities looking pretty decent, the fourth one, yeah. The only thing I wish this had was all of those squares that are kind of going around her from this ability. When an enemy got within range of those, it caused damage. That would be kind of icing on the cake for this one, but visually she looks like she's going to be a graphics card killing frame. Not to mention also the Hespen, which is the giant two-handed scythe from earlier that, yeah, it is coming in this update. But it's this right here that had me more intrigued, if we can get this at just the right point. The Ultinox. This is her signature weapon, and it has two fire modes. Primary fire mode shocks enemies with an electric orb. That's right, the kind of orb type thing you can see in the end of the gun here. I knew you were going to turn that round. It shoots that out. They didn't show this in action. They are waiting until the update comes out, but the description of the weapons now stays on the right, which allows us to continue. The alternate fire is a large ball of electricity that sticks to any surface. So not only do you shoot that out to shock enemies, but you can also stick it to a wall, and any enemy that comes near it, well, as it says, it sticks to any surface and pulses electricity before it explodes. But it's the evolving weaponry. They are all going to be behind the quest that I'm assuming is called the Angels of Zaramin, and these are going to be called incarnate weapons. They are weapons that have been, as you can see right there, touched by the void. That resembles a lot of the scenery, because, yeah, we can pretty much guess what's going on the ship, and I want to save that for a different video. If I ever make that, I don't go into lore, because lore differs from person to person as to what they take from it and make kind of their own, and it resembles the scenery a lot because the Zariman has been touched by the void. They're also ceremonial weapons that will turn into things like this that look actually quite amazing. That would be a primary there. The evolutions of these will be challenges set out by somebody in the social hub as well, meaning that it's not based on so many kills with a certain weapon type. The Tonfas, them I did like the look of quite a bit, because they kind of start out okay Tonfas, and I mean, if we look at them, there's nothing really special about them. They don't look like there's any blade form to them whatsoever. It just looks like something you would, oh, there we go. That would about do it. That looks like a Tonfa that would rip your face off if somebody was to swing it at you. But there's a bigger problem with the Incarnate weapons. It's not the way that you upgrade these over time to make them work in different ways, because there's not just one evolution to them. It looks like there's 5. That would be evolution 2, then obviously 3, 4 and 5. When they showed it like this, it kind of starts as a sniper-based weapon and then turns into something completely and utterly different. I saw the way this was being held and thought, oh, it's... And then they turn around and said it's a heavy weapon. It's an arc gun. It starts as a primary weapon and turns into an arc gun. But more important than that is it actually looks like you can see the scenery in the background here, and you can see how that weapon blends into the scenery. When I say it looks like it's been touched by the void, because the Zariman is stuck in the void, and yes, you can also mod them from the arsenal system. You don't have to go into that menu to do it, but I just love the fact that... No, could you go back one? You can see it blends in with the scenery because they've taken inspiration from the inside of the ship towards these. But that's not the biggest problem either. The biggest problem with this is the fact that they said there was going to be 5 of these, but there's not. There's going to be 3. Not going to go into Valkyria Prime's deluxe skin. It's been mentioned to death. Yes, it looks pretty nice. The attitude behind it is an animation set that comes with the deluxe skin, but you only get that if you buy it. Gyre's abilities working. They were on about new physics and lots of other stuff that works with this, where our first ability is going to... sorry, it was the second one they were showing. It kind of followed walls. There is the Xmas update as well that is going to change a lot of things, like the fact that they kind of have a second health bar. Can you see... Wait. Can you see it? That's not the normal health bar, because Xmas enemies are now more visually seeable. That really sounds stupid to say, but still. And, well, you're just going to have to deal as much damage as you can to them, as quickly as you can, to knock off that. They do go into silly details about what it actually is, but basically it's like them having 2 health bars, which doesn't last very long. That was my best way to put that. Yes, Xmas enemies are some of the hardest ones to take out, but the fact that they've made it so you can actually see them from a distance, and things like the leech doesn't just have an aura around it where they get close to you, you get completely sucked of all your power. Now you have to avoid that aura because they throw it at you. Kind of like the electrical pulses here that are kind of moving towards her. I still think elemental frames should be immune to the element they are based on. Gyre would be immune to electricity. Frost, ice, ember, fire. And to be fair, let's be honest, Hydroid, well, there isn't really much water around, but I guess they could make it so he doesn't die in water, but is there a circumstance where Warframes can die in water? You've got Shark Wing, but that's not... And there's the leech I was looking for. You can see the aura that's shot out from them, and that I'm also looking forward to see, but... And to be honest, I've probably gone on a little bit longer than I would like to have for this, but they have kind of confirmed what is coming, what isn't coming. Again, weapon 4 and 5 of the Incarnate weapons, that would be the ones that evolved by challenges done in the Chrysalis, I said it wrong again, in there, to level them up 5 times each. They're only adding 3 because the other 2 aren't ready, so here's hoping they add them sooner rather than later, because I think, like everybody else, I'm sick of waiting for these Tenet weapons that were going to come out. Remembering Tenet weapons are now nearly a year old and we haven't had any other Tenet weapons at all. I think it's literally something like 10-month-old nearly for the Tenet weapons, and there hasn't been any new ones, but there was going to be. They never really showed them though. Anyway, that's why I wasn't going to go down that path. It will all be coming, and they did confirm the date. The Angels of Zariman update will be coming, well, you can see the list across the bottom, to PC, PlayStation, Xbox and Switch, April the 27th. Wednesday the 27th of April. It depends what time of day as to what platform you're playing on. More than likely it'll be around 11 AM ET, because that's when consoles tend to update, then, or 10 AM ET. They haven't given a specific time for this yet, just April the 27th will be coming to all platforms. And because somebody's going to ask, they did mention crossplay and a few little issues they're having trying to get synchronization with chat. And let's be honest, at this point they've basically been working on it for 3 years, so don't expect that anytime soon. And with that, we'll leave this off here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.